Already. We have very much familiar faces. We have two members of our OSS marketing team. They're just listening in, and any questions on the external labs, badges, etc. They can answer when we get to the topic. I think with respect to roadmap updates, I'll do a quick brief and pause for any Q&A. So we are marching towards basically, getting this backlog down to a deployable EKS deployable cape. We are internally doing that for our own needs, as well as integrating with agent gateway and identity systems like Keycloak. That is still in progress. The IDP builder stack is fully functional for folks to use. Obviously, albeit, it does not have the Keycloak hook in. So there is some active code that Stefan and I are working on to integrate Keycloak with the Agent Forge. Once that PR goes and gets merged in, and the A2A agents also do OAuth middleware, we should have a full end-to-end IDP builder as well as an EKS deployment. We were hoping to target that in the next week plus, hopefully end of the week or maybe the following week. That's kind of our progress. I want to pause here and see if there are any questions or anything that the community has been, seeing, or any things you want to ask on the roadmap. Folks, Shubham, Stefan, I know you guys are closely associated with the code. Adam, Satish, anything you want to bring up in the roadmap? If not, we have the discussion forum to talk about refactor. Anything? Okay, I know there are individual updates. We're not going to glance over those around GraphRag and RAG. When they come to surface and more enhancements happen, I think the team will come around and demo it. I encourage everybody who's using it, working on a contribution to come and discuss and demo. So the next topic, Stefan, I'm going to put you on the spot, and Hasid. So if we can talk about external labs, I'm going to take notes on this. Hasid, if you can level set and give the floor to Stefan.
Yeah, so we had a very successful internal lab. So we were thinking that we should kind of try to do a similar version externally. And then obviously, I mean, it'll be a great opportunity for if you guys have, your other colleagues and whatnot, anybody who wants to kind of experience and understand Cape more. It'll be a good opportunity to do that. And then I think after that, what we can do is take any feedback and then evolve the external lab further. So we were thinking we go with a similar version to what we have, and then give you guys like a version of that to kind of experience. What do folks think about it?
Has it? I have not seen that lab yet. What does it do? It's like, doing something with Argo CD and EKS.
It's we can give a quick demo of the lab, and I'm gonna actually 1 second. You did put me on the spot. I'm gonna show you the success we had internally.
Sure.
Yeah, it's we had about.
Stefan is here and he can pull up the lab.
Yeah. Why don't you?
But yeah, you can show some numbers too, whichever works first. Yeah.
So we had about 130 odd people doing the lab internally, and that was super well received. And then we can kind of show it.
Yeah, sure. We also gamified. Yeah, we gamified with badges. So we internally have a system where you can take your badge and put on your profile. So It costs nothing for us to do that internally, but of course, when you do externally, we have to use some systems like Redley. Sujata can give more update later, but why don't we go to Stefan? I don't, again, putting you on the spot if you have it pulled up.
I just put it.
Yeah.
Let me.
So the platform, Satish, I'm going to kind of lay the ground here, is something we built for a previous product when we were doing OSS product-led growth. Basically, it's a lab that folks can sign up and you will get like a container running on EC2 instance, or it could be like basically you have access to a kind cluster, and then the kind cluster, you can do a lot of things. So why don't you take it away with few labs?
Yeah, so it's basically you get a guided lab where we explain a lot of things about different aspects, mostly about CAPE and so on. And you are presented with the full environment where if you follow step by step the instructions, you will end up having a running multi-agent and all this kind of also we include IDP builder. So as you said, we have Argo CD, we have Git, a lot of stuff there. So basically, you have a terminal environment or multi-terminal environment where you can do whatever you want, right? At the end, you also have the options to have an IDE. So you can edit file. We are also working on adding Jupyter notebooks. But basically, it's a guided lab. We did it as a workshop, and I think that's the first step we're gonna do here too. But also, it can be presented as an on-demand environment, right? Where someone just have 1 hour of time right now, and then they want to test and try, and basically, you should be able to. Let me see if I can see it here. So we deploy, as I said, Argo CD. Backstage, kick lock, everything is connected in between. Yeah. So basically, that's the experience. Again, it's a step-by-step lab. So content is it can be adapted as we want, and everybody's welcome to contribute, and it can have different kind of topics, right? So, yeah.
It just takes a markdown file, and the lab renders that markdown file, and then anything that's marked as a bash command can be executed. And the way we try to design this lab is folks are not used to like agentic systems. We started with, okay, here is how an agent is. This is an MCP server. This is A to A. And then you kind of build it up into, okay, what does a multi-agent system do? And you then go to CAPE and then add then IDP builder, right? So it's basically setting the ramp up to explain the lab. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can deploy, containers, clusters, whatever. So it's done on the fly, right? So. Yeah.
Okay.
So internally, the reason for us to do the lab was to get more awareness and get more people involved within Cisco. So that's and then we also use that as a learning opportunity. Mm-hmm. So what we are thinking is let's do an external version as well. So if you have like either yourselves or other colleagues who are interested, that'll be a good opportunity to give them some exposure to CAPE. And then we also need to kind of like evolve the lab into a more on-demand format down the line. So we can kind of like see how it goes. And, you have two parts. One is the content of the exercises and how they shape up. We have a pretty reasonable version, but I think it needs to evolve further. And then the other part is the kind of like the tooling, how you do a lab. For example, the setup we have currently, it'll use like some LLM keys that we would provision, and then the lab takes individual like VM instance per user for the duration of the lab. So we need to look at how those type of things could be streamlined in a way that it can be kind of like on demand, spun up and supported by how does that work type of thing. But it'll be a good way for people to get hands-on, right? More often, what people are looking for is to get their hands on like these type of things, and there's complexity, there's pieces. So yeah, you have people talking about concepts, but unless you actually kind of actually do it, it doesn't.
So this getting started only takes you up to deployment, but this workshop will take you to the user experience part of it, right? It deploys, then you can ask questions and things like that.
And you have to supply a LLM key, but
Yes,
once
of course.
that, yeah, I think the systems are complex enough that fighting with each of these deployments will take you like half a day, like Argo CD Backstage. I think the rationale is, what if we could give you a recipe that obviously IDP Builder is great for that. So if we can use IDP Builder to provide that key cloak reference recipe that includes Backstage, the open source plugin we wrote, and it also uses key cloak authentication authorization inside the plugin, all of that. And then in one of your examples, Satish, you could take a subset of the lab persona and then use Argo CD and GitHub and say, okay, this is what I need for my demo or example. So anyway, that's the thought process. Any feedback on, I think the plan is to do a preview in a couple of weeks. We were thinking August 22nd because this functional lab exists. You just have to package it in a way that we can manage the static cost that we can assume so that we don't spin more EC2 instances. I think we looked at other platforms. They do have some limitations on time and disk space limitations. Maybe Stefan, you can touch on those platforms.
Yeah, so I mean, we are, the one thing is that, the content itself, as we said, is part of a Git repository where everything is written in Markdown. And it's more or less compatible with other platforms, right? So it's not, let's say, it's not focused on using a specific platform or not. The problem with, some publicly available platforms are, as you said, once that the amount of resources you get are quite limited for the effort we try to do here, right? So deploying a cluster with Argo CD, with Backstage, with Keycloak, with everything inside requires a little bit of memory, and most of them will just give you 1 gig of memory or something like that for very basic stuff, right? That's on one side. The other side is that we want to be able to scale as much as possible and to be able to provide this to as many people as possible, and having full control of what we can do inside is maybe an advantage, right, for us. But yeah, it's whether a limitation of resources and also a limitation of time. So most of the free versions are available for 1 hour, but then you will have to pay if you want to use it for longer. And it's like we are on an open source environment, so we try to provide as much as possible as a free and nice experience, right? And of course, doing that, any kind of input or ideas you might have, we can incorporate and we make it better.
I mean, the script will be open source. It'll be in a Git repo. Worst case, if folks want to use the script by itself in other platforms, that's always available. I think this is an easy way to get this out and post it on LinkedIn and get some engagement, like a workshop. That's the path.
And the other thing, sorry to interrupt, Sri, is that we try to, the guide would help you get started on your own PC too, right? The problem is if we try to do this, just providing the guide, things can get complex and you can, go into issues. So by providing an environment that with everything works, makes you maybe also makes your life much easier, and try to reproduce this on your local PC or your production environment. So, right. So because you see somewhere it's working and how it's working, and then you see what the problem is on your local, crazy environment, right? So it can be.
I mean, see, one of the challenges, barrier to entry, right? If it is very high, then nobody will use it. So it needs to be, as you said, recipe should be set, and it should just work, just following the instructions. Okay.
I think the rest of the folks have seen this. Adam, do you have any thoughts? Anything? Do you think this could be useful? Sorry, you're on mute. Your audio is. Not yet. No, not yet. Let me see if I can unmute. Yeah, there.
Should we reply in text, or you can hear us?
Yeah.
We'll check in. Hopefully, the canoe leadership meeting is also there this Wednesday, so we can. I'll bring it up there and get an idea. Assuming if people are okay with the 22nd, whether it's a 1 hour or 2 hour slot. If you guys have any preference, let us know, and then we'll kind of like tailor it depending on the time.
The last thing, Hasit, is just, maybe it's not just for us, the community, if it's just also for the people in your companies, if anyone wants to get, some hands-on or some first sight of what we are working on and so on, would be nice to
good call.
Make it
And also on the Credly badges, I'm working internally, and we also need a branding approval. So currently target date to get those badges is 19th. Let's see if we can make that deadline, because even though it is an open source badge, Cisco is not issuing them. It's the open source project. They still need to approve it. So just wanted to update that.
There is probably some fixed cost to it. I think that's something that Outshift is willing to at least take on this time, and we'll have to work with the Cape Canoe community. If this is successful, how we can replicate that and continue in future.
Yeah, absolutely. And that part, the Credly part is, I'm not concerned about that, or that part is moving. The branding part, that is also the requirement. That's the thing I'm a little worried about, but we'll see.
Yeah, sounds good. And the 22nd is a preview for our internal Canoe members, so at least we get the message out and do a wider Canoe-wide steering committee demo, and then we can try to get that message out. I think Adam is trying to get his mic fixed. He's coming in. Let's see if we can get his voice. All right. Can you hear us, Adam? Yeah. We still can't hear you. I don't know. Somewhere your microphone is. Maybe try to switch to your desktop microphone.
You hear it now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll go. I'll let's use my laptop. All right. Great.
Sorry to put you in the spot. Do you have any thoughts on the workshop and anything, how it could be useful to your organization?
Sorry, the workshop looks fantastic. I was having some audio issues for part of it, but I mean, I think in general it seems like a great way to kind of build the community more.
Yep, sounds good. Yeah, if you think of anything else, let me know. And also there are some Q&As, so just think of other ways we can also expand and, make this community pie bigger. Without further ado, if there are no other questions on this topic, Stefan, are you good? Did we cover everything for
Yeah,
this?
from my point of view, all good. Okay, thanks.
So Satish, could you kind of catch us up on the issues you created in Refactor, and we can focus a little bit of time and do Q&A on the Refactor proposals?
Yeah. I shared those links. Can you click on any of those?
Yep. I'm going to click on those and talk through them. Give me 1 second. Go to my Slack channel here. There we go. So I'll bring all of them up, and then you can tell me which one I should start first.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whichever is the first one.
There you go.
Yeah. So uh, this is pretty much when I started looking at the code, I found a lot of code that is duplicated. And if you look at how each agent works, right, pretty much it has a servlet application that has executor, and each executor execute agent code. And for all the agents, the first two layers, that servlet application and executor, the code is exact same. The only difference is with the agent. When you click when you work with Argo CD agent, then it just spins up the Argo CD MCP server and does that. If it is GitHub, it just GitHub. It does GitHub MCP servers, but the first two layers are the same. So I thought the way to simplify this is, to create these common functions, common classes, like common, you can see it in the code, common executor, common whatever, right? And create a factory pattern where it just gives you those common classes and the code remains same, right? So the advantage is if we need to modify something, we don't have to do in all the agents, do it in one common class that impacts everything. So this is the first one, and
Let's
this
maybe pause here and see. I think this is great. This is definitely very much needed. See if the community has any questions.
No,
I can take some.
yeah, this is. I just actually. I guess I missed this thread going on, but I was actually going to bring this up as well because I came to the same conclusion that there's just a lot more that can be covered like this. So this is perfect.
Yep, I think this is right on the money in terms of getting this refactored. And thank you for both digging into the code, noticing it, and actually creating the issue. And I think we appreciate your contribution. And also, I know you and I chatted. You have some code in the works, so I think if you can upstream that code, that would be fantastic.
We'll do that.
So we will put this into motion. I'll put this in, I guess, ready state since we talked about it. Feel free to assign it to yourself. Work on it. Yep, we'll move on to the next one.
Okay. The second one is, I had hard time in really understanding once I started digging through the code. Now there are two kinds of agents in existing code base, right? There is a supervisor, then there are all other sub agents, right? And right now the supervisor is somewhere else. It is not part of these agents. So that took me a little bit of time to figure out, why it is somewhere else, why it is not part of the agent. End of the day, supervisor is also an agent, right? So what I am proposing is instead of keeping it on somewhere else, if we make it part of the agents where supervisor is just treated like any other agent, right? Then it's easier to understand, easier to, we can simplify the whole folder structure and everything. So here, what I have done is under agents, you will see supervisor. That's just a supervisor. Then you have all other sub agents like Argo CD, GitHub, whatever, right? And I created 2 more folders, common and utils. This is where those common like agent server and executor, they go in common. And under utils there, where I have classes like agent, all the factory pattern, right? Agent card factory and agent factory and things like that. So the only challenge, while I was doing this is the way supervisor works is a little bit different because supervisor needs access to all the agents because these agents have clients, right? And that's how these are agent clients, right? So supervisor, depending on what is enabled, it goes to individual agents and get those clients, right? So that's how supervisor works. It need access to everything. Whereas other agents like Argo CD or GitHub or any other sub agents, they are self-contained. They don't need anything. All they do is start up the server and ready to serve whatever request it comes from. So kind of, when you try to use this common and util folders, it kind of creates issues because when you use it with a supervisor, the whole import path is different. It starts from the top level AI platform engineering all the way. But when you use within the sub agent, the paths are a little bit different. So for that, I was working with Sri, and we just came up with a couple of options. One is using Symlink. That's where I have shown it. Is and how you import, right? And the second point here I'm specifying is when these when a util uses common, we get into these import issues, and that's where I'm proposing. This is how I made it work. Import from the whole path. If it doesn't find it, then just import it from another path where pretty much we know it is running from the individual agent. Is it clear as mud? Of course.
Yeah.
I talked a lot. Probably, you might want to read this and see what I'm saying. And especially it makes sense when you try to move this code in the agent, but you get into some import issues with common and util because the way the supervisor works and the way other subagents work. And if you read this, you will pretty much get what I'm talking about.
I mean, I think this is a great proposal in general. I guess my only thing is like I don't know that I like supervisor agent being a subfolder of agents, because it's almost like you'd want to have another layer of abstraction below that to differentiate it still. So I would rather have it be like a top level supervisor agent and then agents, because right now like it's like supervisors in a list of agents that are just like named, whereas like I think it's easier to denote that it actually has a different role.
Yeah, one of the reasons why we made it at the same level as subagents is because right now, the implementation is supervisor and subagent, right? At some point, we might get into swarm where the agents work together, right? If we get to that implementation, then this hierarchy, contradicts.
You don't think that we'll have a day possibly with like multiple supervisor agents? Because that's what I was thinking, like having a supervisor agents that would contain multiple supervisor agents, and then having like one that would be like standalone agents.
I think that's where we are sort of today. I think that was our initial rationale. I'm just going to bring up the our Git repo, so we can overlay. So if you look at our current code, actually under agents, it's these individual
Sub-
agents, sub agents, like all the
Yeah.
things we wrote. We call them multi-agents because they could be supervisors for some other pattern. I know Satish has a proposal for persona agents. Let's park that for a second. I don't have a strong opinion if this one stays outside or inside. Um, we did make one more, I guess, complication. So because knowledge bases have an agent plus other things involved, like vector stores, we made knowledge bases as a separate entity. Although technically they do have an agent that exposes it to it, but it also has like indexing, like the server does all the ingestion, like scraping of the web and indexing. They have, this is the agent, and there is a web interface that actually you can use to send the URLs to ingest. This anyway, if we have time, we'll demo this. But putting the knowledge bases aside, I guess, Adam, to your question, would you feel like strongly if this should stay this way, or I guess they could collapse into agents? What would be a consensus in here?
I mean, like I said, my vote is to keep them separate, but I don't think it's that big a deal. I just, I think I understand part of like what the call out is like the understanding multi-agent versus supervisor agent, and like that terminology maybe was a little confusing. So that kind of made sense, but I guess I'm neutral on it in general.
Satish, do you have a strong opinion on these going inside? I think I'm sure as long as we document them, I think these have a purpose today, except for reflection, which actually is not even coded. This is the odd person out. Rest of those are basically atomic agents.
Okay.
This is really pet store. This is where it gets tricky. This is an agent, but it then talks to other agents through gateway protocols or agent core or Slim or whatever your protocol of choice. Or it could just be like a deep agent. That's one thing that is in the backlog that one of the team members is working on. We want to create a platform engineered deep agent, like you can ask a question, but it can go and do a bunch of research. I guess from a definition point of view, you're right, they're all agents. So as long as one way is to just document them, does it help with your packaging if the supervisor stays outside, or would it help better if it stays inside? This is the other thing we were fighting with, is the package management pattern.
Is that question for me or?
Yeah, for you. Yeah, based on what you've looked at so far, is the choice of supervisor being inside the
Yeah.
agent folder, does it make it easier, or is it just about the same worse packaging?
I haven't seen any issues so far. And all I'm doing is just make, right? I haven't tested that with Docker and anything else.
Yeah.
So, and let me do this. Let me see what kind of issues I get into with supervisor being part of the agents.
Okay.
And if it becomes, painful or it's hard to understand, then we'll just move it back to wherever it was.
Okay, sounds good. One thing that one of the team members added was a Docker ignore. This is something that's quite useful. So in Docker, when you set up all your files, you can tell, like, as you mentioned, the supervisor agent needs the client files from individual agents. So you can set it up so that it does not include other files. It basically ignores everything else
Okay.
except for that one file that you're interested in.
Okay.
your container runtime will be smaller.
Sure,
So
okay.
that is one thing we optimized a while ago.
Okay.
This is more of a recent update. I think this probably needs a little bit more research. I would put Shubham, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that conversation is one, and the second conversation was around the sim links, right? I was gonna ask why we are doing sim links, and why not just add it to the UV project with the right path.
So this has a lot to do with the way so in Argo CD, right? This sub project is packaged by itself. So technically we could do a relative path out. We could do UV add dot, common.
Yeah.
If we did that, we would have to also the problem is the Docker file lives in the source directory. You can't do a copy of dot dot from your current directory from one level out. So these files have to stay at the root of the project, which is fine. That it just when we collapsed from individual repos into these subfolders, we kept the whole thing self-contained, so that you, when you do a make file, basically your make Docker build will run within that folder, or your make run will basically run your local without Docker. I think some SDLC will change a little bit. I guess one way we thought about it is if it's a symlink, then the package will look like it's in the local directory, but it's really in the common, like one level up. That was the rationale. Satish, do you want to add anything?
No, just covered it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's mostly for the Docker context, so you don't have to like have an entire repo on the Docker context, but when you do a Docker build, you can scope it to just that folder.
Correct. Although when you actually do build with Docker, you'll have to remove symlink, or I don't know if Docker follows the hard link. That's an open question. But we'll have to figure out how to copy. If Docker doesn't follow the symlink to hard link and copy all the files, then we're back to square one. We need to figure out how to copy from one level out. Maybe that's something we need to quickly validate, Satish.
Yeah.
If symlinks work with Docker or not. If they don't, I know there are some security constraints with Docker copy intentionally. So if that doesn't work, then we just have no choice but to put these Docker files. Maybe best to put them at the root at that point. Then we just build all the Docker containers from root build folder. We'll probably create like some child folders or something.
Yeah, I mean, it will be better if they are together, and unless it becomes.
There was one more option we discussed. So really, Python, package management, by default, you get it from PyPy, right? If you install something, you get it from PyPy. We do have Canoe utils. From a local development point of view, it is a pain, but we can put all the common libraries and factory methods in Canoe utils, version it, or you can install as a extra index URL in pip. Then you don't have to worry about where your common is, right? We're doing all this soft link magic, symlink magic, because we want to work with the code that's in the current directory or current repo. If we get to a maturity point where we say, hey, all this common code should go into agent utils, then where it doesn't matter, then you can just do Canoe utils.common and it'll give you common.
But it will be good if it is part of this repo so that if you are reviewing the code, you can jump back to the code and look at it. Otherwise, it just becomes magic, right? You don't know what is happening.
Sure. But what is the problem that we're trying to solve? Is it that like the Docker context is too big, or is it that like why are we trying to only build from this and not have the Docker context be the parent folder?
No,
And then you can always select the Docker file inside any of the subfolders, right?
yeah. I mean, even if the Docker file lives at the root, you can say from relative to where you are, say I want to copy AI platform engineering agents Argo CD. The other thing we could do is we could just symlink the Docker file. That's easy, right? We could symlink the Docker file, and if someone wants to build it from make here, make Docker build, they can just use the symlink Docker file. Maybe that's a lot easier, and we don't have to symlink the common and others. Maybe we can take that approach, Satish, where the Docker file itself is not, doesn't live here, but it lives either at this level or at this level. Then you have access to everything. You have access to the entire directory structure. Maybe that's the better path.
Yeah, but Docker file can live anywhere, right? Because the file itself you can just point to, right? And it's just the context that would matter, right?
Correct. Yeah, wherever you build it from matters. Correct.
Yeah.
So I think we can build the individual Docker containers from like AI underscore platform engineering, where it has access to utils, common, like as Satish described here, you have access to everything. The context can stay here, and you copy the necessary bits into the Docker file. For UV local run though, you still have to do a relative reference because individual agent make files are within the agent. So you'll have to do uv add / common. So it's like going one level up to common. Does it make sense to you, Shubham? Or actually 2 levels up if they're inside the agent.
But that should be okay, right? Like it's,
Yeah, I think this definitely preserves what Satish was saying earlier. So all the code remains here. So you don't have to go to Canoe agent utils for every small change. I think, can we agree that that's a preferable option? Keep common code for Satish, does this help a little bit? We can also double click offline and
Yeah.
session. Basically, we're fighting with a little bit of Python package management and how to get this optimal. We'll probably have to take a stab at it. But this is definitely badly needed in terms of getting common code so we don't duplicate the code. Without further ado, I don't think Omar joined today's call, but we'll focus on getting the last 2 issues you created. Persona agent configuration. Could you go over
Yeah,
this quick?
sure. Right now, what happens is the personas already configured, right? Either you're a platform incident or something else, and the platform engineer means these 7 agents are enabled, right? And when I started looking into it, kind of, I don't have access to PagerDuty or some of these things. So I didn't know if it's going to work or not, right? So what I am suggesting is instead of forcing what platform engineer means not Canoe deciding what it means, it should be driven from a configuration file. Here I'm creating this persona file where you can define whatever platform engineer means to you, right? Then once you have that, then you can generate all the deployment artifacts like Docker Compose, or for Kubernetes, the Argo CD application, right? Or even if you run makefile, right? Pretty much it's going to read this and enable all the clients that are enabled for that persona to make it work. So the proposal is, instead of hard coding what all these personas means, it can be configuration driven. That's a proposal.
Yeah, I run a fork of this in prod, and I already did the same thing.
Okay, perfect.
I apologize for not contributing it, but yes, this is the better way to go, because it's much easier to store it having a factory for the agents.
Awesome. And also good to hear that you're running this in prod. So we want to hear what your feedback is, and how are there any obstacles you had to solve to get this to work?
Yeah. It's just the yeah. We can talk about it after the proposal.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, we can. We would love to hear your learnings from that later session or offline. No issues for me. This is great. I think this is definitely needed. And the number of Docker Compose files are growing by the day. So I think I know some of the folks can't join this meeting. We'll get some offline feedback and have them comment here. Shubham, Stefan, you have seen this. Anything that sticks out to you? Are you guys generally thumbs up on this proposal?
I think
It's okay, fine. It's okay, go.
We will move forward with it. I think let's. I think the mechanics, Satish, on the makefile, that makes sense. Setting those environment variables. Definitely, immediate target of Docker Compose makes sense. Helm charts, etc. Those are a bit more wonky, and we may have to do a little bit more investment. But they're easy to customize.
Okay.
I think the way Sunny wrote the Helm charts, it's actually a single agent Helm chart, and then you just kind of duplicate them, at least the way that it's written. We can double click on that offline. This is a great proposal.
Sure.
Awesome. Next, we have 8 minutes, and on to the next one.
Yeah, this one is, again, what I see is when you create, I think, agent card, right? A lot of code, a lot of this configuration is in code, right? And it just makes hard to really read that file. So what I'm proposing is, instead of having that in the Python file, just push it to a YAML file, right? And just create a Argo CD, whatever that agent card factory, and it just reads this and creates agent card, right? This way you can enable capabilities. Like, for example, there is streaming and push notification, right? If you want to enable, turn on, off, then you just have to do it in here. You don't have to touch the Python file.
I think Adam had some actually.
Oh yeah, I think I actually commented on the wrong one, but yes, I think I've commented on the wrong one. But yes, this is similar to the other thing. This is a good approach that I've also implemented independently.
I would probably, my only meta comment is there is some prior art in this space by a couple of different open source groups. I think the format of YAML, if we can see if there is any prior art that we could borrow with SDKs, Satish.
Yeah.
That would be probably my only recommendation.
See, means again, this, if we go with this, right, then all the agents, they're going to call whatever that get agent card or something, right?
Yeah.
Behind the scene, we can change to whatever YAML. If it changes, it won't impact at all, right? We just have to change in one place and configs, then they all work.
Yeah.
So I'm not very familiar with the prior art or whatever you're talking about. So I will get in touch with you offline. We can
I'll put
talk
some
about
notes here.
Okay.
So definitely there is a format that agency recommends, although it is a little wonky.
it. Okay.
There are, I mean, A2A itself is a JSON card.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
MCP has some formats.
Yeah.
I'll put some notes, and
Sure.
Shubham has your hand up. Do you want, is this a previous hand or current hand?
No, this is the current hand. No, this is really good, and I think it makes complete sense to not have to edit this in Python because it was yeah. But I think one thing would be, let's still preserve the functionality to generate the card dynamically.
Yeah,
Or override. Yeah, because I think for like RAG and stuff, you wanna, like, based on what the contents of the RAG are, you wanna change the skills and tweak the skills and whatnot. But other than that, I think it makes sense to, like, as default, to load up from a YAML file and then and change in the code to if you want to override or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
I
we
think-
can use maybe we can use a specific template library or something,
Like a Ginger, you're thinking? Like
something like that. Yeah, maybe for Python I am not familiar, but
Yeah, I think Ginger too is popular in Python. There is also, there are a couple of popular check.
I mean,
I
at the
think-
end, it doesn't matter, but as soon as we have it in one central place, but I think it makes it easier for code to feel what's needed. So if we use a templating library.
I would go with what you feel comfortable, and then we can iterate. But
Yeah.
this is also a badly needed proposal. I think in the order of things and your bandwidth, how can the community help, and where are you? What's your consideration on timeline, so that there will be a lot of changes coming in, because we are also trying to go to production with this, replacing our Jarvis with this. So some structural things like this one, I think we can swarm on this, so that way you're not completely overwhelmed by these changes. So let us know once you have some scaffolding or example.
Yeah.
We can involve rest of the community.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you can do like a draft PR on the proposal 259 and what is this number, 261, they need some coordination, so that
Yes.
your changes don't constantly conflict with others. So yeah, once you're ready, let us know. We can form on this.
Yeah, I mean, I will have draft PR by this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's awesome. Anything else, Satish, you want to bring up?
No, that's
These
it.
proposals. Okay, I think the last question I had was, you may not have enough time, Adam, but I wanted to ask the community how are you using Cape? I know I saw one chatter about incorporating Bedrock KB integration. Are there things that you are hearing from folks that we should integrate? I don't want to put either of you on the spot, Adam or Satish.
That seems like maybe something that'd be useful. I'm handling some of that differently right now. I rely more on I'm just actually querying data directly from sources.
Sure.
But KB integration would probably be more performant.
Okay.
I would imagine.
Yep. Yep. Have you tried our KB RAG agent, Adam?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, when you get a chance to try out the RAG, yeah, we can double click. But this is assuming that you are doing the heavy lifting of running vector storing. Obviously, the Bedrock KB, that's all a managed service. We just point at and they have much more extensive scrapers for Jira and others. Like you have quite a few things, integrations with KB, Bedrock KB. One last question. I know we have only maybe 30 seconds. Are you guys comfortable with the direction of the project in what we're doing with agents we're building? I know this is a small subset. Satish and Adam, do you feel good about our direction so far?
So I mean, I think this is a fantastic direction. I don't know. So I've started working. So I mean, I have this production instance of this going that we're using at demand base is like kind of an alpha stage really, and it's just for our developers to be able to like. Well, I mean, it's similar to obviously to what you guys are doing at Cisco, right? The goal is to just make our developers' lives easier, and so they can have a single place to go and retrieve information, create tickets, launch scaffolders, etc. But you know, I'm also simultaneously working on something that's a little bit more with like doing like kind of like Kubernetes debugging or kind of more like SRE type incident engineering work. And so for those use cases, I'm just kind of I might talk about that. Hopefully, it's actually an open source project that I'll maybe talk about soon. But
sure.
There's a separate use case there where I think that like it would complement this project.
Okay, that sounds good. There is one engineer on our team. He's not here. He just started looking at deep agents, sort of like, you know, like researching agents or problem solving or incident agents. But we would love to hear the project and see if there are integration points we could get. There are a whole bunch of these. I think I mentioned in the past too. There is one called Cyber Autogen. This is written by one of the AWS engineers in another community. This does like basically incident management, like security CVE detection. I feel like our project should be a collection of using these agents because we will never have enough time bandwidth to build these ourselves. So should be like more of integrators and providing those reference architectures.
I mean, I think that's really the strength, honestly, is like, you know, you have like a great kind of like framework stuff and like, you know, you put some great packages forward for A2A stuff. So it's like, hey, it's really easy to integrate additional, anything that's, you know, A2A, it's easy to integrate that as an additional agent. So, I mean, I think that's really the strength here.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Again, thank you everyone for the good discussion. Notes are posted here and we'll regroup next time.
Bye.
Talk offline. Slack.
Right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.